welcome to the Take 5 Challenge podcast. I am Henry Perezalonso, and I'm here to connect with you, or actually connect with others. Back in 2018, I was the president of CPRS, which is the California Parks and Rec Society, and I had challenged our membership to take 5 minutes a month to intentionally connect with another professional. So whether they're coming before you, coming after you, or right in the same boat as you, professionally, we want people to connect because I believe that as iron sharpens iron, we can sharpen each other, make each other better. This show is now here on the Push to Play Network, and that's where you're going to be able to find our podcast. I look forward to today's guest, Nick Calubaquib, who's coming from a long line of years, I'll say, in the profession, but so looking forward to seeing him. So we'll be right back with Nick. And we're back, and I just thanks for coming back. I'm so excited to be talking to my friend on the show right now. So for the people in the audience or whatever, just why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure. Thanks, Henry. I'm Nick Calubaquib. I am the Deputy City Manager / Parks Director for the City of Watsonville.
I like that. And how long have you been in the business now?
In the business, well, if you count my high school years and whatnot, going back to, like age 14, 15.
Did you start like as a volunteer? Or
I did. I started as a volunteer. Yeah. So looking at, 30 years or
so. You
so.
count like sometimes I'll count it in summers. Like how many summers have we
totally.
worked? So I'm at 30 summers, some summers. You know, at one point I was like, well, maybe is it 40? I think I'm a lot. But that's really cool. What did you do? Like, what was the 14-year-old you doing in Parks and Rec?
So let's see. You have to kind of roll the clock back a little bit further to dig into that story. So my parents got divorced when I was 8, and my mom moved my sister and I to Half Moon Bay. And she was a single mom, working all the time. And so we grew up in Parks and Rec programs. The after school program at our elementary school was where I lived after school. And then, Parks and Rec ran the summer camp also. And so, the rec leaders that worked there were my heroes. And when I was finally old enough to volunteer, that's what I ended up doing. And then eventually got my first job with the city of Half Moon Bay and worked for them during the school year at my elementary school where I went to school. Worked in the same summer camps that I went to as a camper, and did that all through high school, and then came back a couple summers when I moved away for college also.
So you did camp stuff? Did you ever do aquatics? Growing up?
I dabbled in aquatics. We took kids to the pool and that sort of thing.
That was the dabbling. I got my foot wet.
Yeah, totally. They tried to pull me over to the aquatics end back then, but I never made the jump until college. Then I got into aquatics.
That's kind of cool. Yeah. Okay, so now flash forward me all this to 30 whatever summers you got going on now, but you're the assistant city manager,
deputy city manager.
Deputy city manager. Yeah, that's a big title.
It sounds big and it sounds scary and daunting, and it definitely was when I first transitioned also. So was lucky enough. Our assistant city manager became our city manager kind of mid last year. And was my supervisor for a long time friend also. We've got a great trusting relationship. And when she became city manager, she decided that she didn't want an assistant city manager. So she asked myself and our HR director if we would step up to become deputy city managers, keeping our current departments also. So I'm kind of wearing two hats, but it's kind of a juggle and a challenge, but it's a lot of fun.
Well, because I think that's one of those things that, when we look at the career, and I guess we have the hindsight, right? We've got the years that we've been able to see this, but did you ever see yourself like as on the administrative side, I guess?
I guess I could say I've had inklings of that kind of cross my mind. I think I've never, I think thought about like actually applying for a position, like as a deputy or assistant city manager, because it just sounds terrible, right? Like to jump to the city administration side.
It's like the dark side.
It is. It truly is the dark side. Yeah. And so, when I actually accepted the role, like that's really what, my other deputy city manager and my city manager said. They're like, welcome to the dark side. I'd say I never really had like true aspirations. I always thought like at some point in my career, I may make that jump, maybe in the last couple of years of my career, but it's definitely happened earlier.
Well, no, I've had that. People ask, hey, are you ever interested in being a city manager? I'm like, no. I think maybe a number 2, maybe like a role like this, but I would love the same thing, right? I want to keep the Parks and Rec stuff. like we bleed that stuff, right?
Totally.
So it's kind of it would be really hard to get away from that.
Yeah.
What have been some of the struggles? I mean, because now you have to balance your Parks and Rec folks and then whatever else you're doing. Right?
Yeah. It's definitely a balancing act. I mean, I literally have 2 offices, one at the Parks Department and then one in the city manager's office, and I'm running back and forth all day long. I mean, it's definitely helpful that I've got a really strong team in the Parks Department, and been lucky enough also that our city manager has seen, like in order for us to make this work, like we need to balance out the rest of the team as well. Right. So been able to elevate my rec superintendent to an assistant director level. Okay. So she's able to take on some additional duties without, feeling super bad about not getting compensated for it. And then one of our rec supervisors became a rec manager. So he's kind of her number 2, helping to oversee the rec division at least. And, our parks division is pretty well set. Yeah. We've got a great superintendent and some good project managers to help with all the CIP stuff.
So some of that stuff though too, because I always would picture you as someone who really tries to foster that growth in your staff and stuff like that, right? Like maybe this was beforehand, but did you really kind of take some time? Like were you taking time for that staff to know that one day, if you don't get a title change here, maybe it'll be somewhere, but I'm going to make sure you're ready. Is that something that you really kind of strive to do? Or
yeah, definitely. I mean, we constantly have those discussions. I definitely try to do that more than just once a year when we do evals, but constantly, just expose our team to what it takes to be successful in that next step up.
So was it, you think that it was really easy? Like when they got there, their jumps you're like, yeah, it makes sense and it works. Yeah. And we're ready.
Yeah, definitely. So, I mean, this transition is pretty new. I jumped into my role in December. Yeah. We literally just changed their titles last week. So it's pretty fresh, but I mean, from my perspective, they're ready and they were, already doing the job even before their titles officially changed.
So if I'm okay, let's just hypothetically speaking, I want to do this and kind of start maybe thinking about jumping, jump into the dark side, whatever you want to call it. But like, what kind of advice would you give? Like, what should I be doing, or is there anything I should be doing to maybe make myself competitive for that?
Yeah, well, I think I'd say, first of all, in the Parks and Rec world, we're I think super competitive already, and are well poised to take on deputy city manager, assistant city manager roles, just because of the nature of what we do and the relationships we have with our councils, our commissions, with all of our community nonprofits and community members and so forth. I think the transition in that sense has been pretty seamless for me. I'd say the biggest hurdle that that I'm working through right now, and that I think the more you can do up front, the better, is just learning and paying attention to what's happening across the city. I had this aha moment, I think like a month into my role, where somebody was asking me about like some sidewalks that Public Works maintains, and I was like, oh well, that's Public Works, and they're like, no, that's you. And I was like, you're right, that is me now too.
Really, what's going on with it? What's going on with the sidewalks?
Exactly. So just that brain switch, and like taking ownership of more than just our my Parks Department, and so I think that the more you can do that, when you're sitting through council meetings, not paying attention and writing your staff reports and whatnot, because there's some topic that's
never do that.
I know, right? Totally. Right. So just being more present for those types of things and keeping the pulse on what's happening across the city.
So I like that. And do you picture yourself being a city manager one day?
That's been the second question. I know,
don't tell anybody, but we're recording this right now.
Right. I know that's the second question that I've been getting constantly since I've made the transition. And I don't know. Like I like to never say never, because you truly don't know. I'd say from where I'm sitting today, I would never want that job. Just because now that I'm a foot in the door. It really is as hard as it looks from the outside. Just watching my city manager kind of weave through the ins and outs of the day. But you never know, like it's like right place, right time with the right council, the right community.
That also makes sense. I love that, because then it's not, again, I didn't mean to put you on the spot. It was just more nice, because it is a question. Like you said, they probably, like when you get married, when you having kids. Yeah. So it's like, hey, I'm assistant city manager. When are you going to be city manager?
Yeah. That question also, kind of gave me a little bit of pause, like especially after I first became deputy, because I was starting to feel like I was locked in, like that's what I had to do next. And so,
makes sense too.
Had some great conversations with some good friends and my wife, and like really came to the realization that like no one's forcing me to do that. Like I don't have to do that if I don't want to in my career. And also, you know, like my city manager is going to be with us, I'm hoping, at least for, you know, another 5-10 years. And so I don't even have to think about that for at least another 5 to 10 years. So.
Which is kind of nice. And so I dig that. So this is the Take 5 challenge. This is really kind of us trying to, you know, sharpen each other. And I know I got a lot of this. And I know one of the best parts of us knowing people within the profession is that we have a lot of folks that went before us, right? That were assistant city managers and then city managers who were from the Parks and Rec world, which I think, you know, there's a lot of great examples for us, I guess is really what it is. So you're never going to be alone, and you're never going to not have someone there to, I think, kind of take care of you. And that's really the goal of, you know, this podcast connection, just modeling what Take 5 is. But I do have a question for you, and knowing that the Take 5 program continues on, would you be willing to take on the challenge and, you know, hang out with someone for 5 minutes a month, you know, from time to time?
I would wholeheartally take on that challenge.
All right, we're going to connect you with someone. We're going to do that. I want to thank you so much for kind of hanging out with me today and just kind of sharing your thoughts. I appreciate your time, and dude, good luck on the dark side.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure. Appreciate you, Henry.
Thanks, Nick. And I'm back. Thank you so much. I'm just so excited that I got a chance to kind of hang out with Nick. Nick has been someone that I've personally just been able to see, and we've kind of grown up in the field together. And so he's kind of, you know, don't tell him, but he's kind of an idol. So checking it out, knowing that he's coming up in a different part of this career that works bigger picture city stuff. I think that's something that we all need to look for and at least ask ourselves the question, is that something that I want to do? And then also remind myself that I don't have to. And I thought that was one of the coolest things. That reminds me, I don't have to do that if I don't want to. But it is there if the opportunity ever came up. And also knowing that you can start as a kid in the programs, and you can, you know, be much more in this world and make such a bigger impact. I love how he was impacted by our profession and now is impacting others. So those are some really good takeaways for me that I appreciate. So we will see you next time on Take 5. Again, we are part of the Push to Play network here with CPRS. If you need to find me, you can find me on the Instagram. That's right, with Take5_challenge. Go ahead and shoot me a message or anything like that, and I will get back to you. And if there's anyone you want to see on the Take 5 challenge show, you know, just let me know. Shoot me a message there, and we'll try and see if we can get them on and have a conversation with them. So thanks so much. We'll see you next time.